Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings, salutations. This is, and I quote, a weekly show where we introduce you to some of the best creators from all over the world, and we find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of And I Quote Channel, and our guest on this episode is the president, CEO of Fright Reads, halfway to Halloween book festivals, and he's an indie author himself who's quite successful in that regard. And he's probably got one of the largest collections of Ghostbusters memorabilia I've ever seen in my flippin' life. Please welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Harry Carpenter is in the building. Hey. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, we're fine. We're all fine here. Now, thank you. How are you? No, we're happy that you're here, Harry. We're also happy that you are here who may be watching or listening to this right now. So do not forget to like and share with all of your friends if you're watching this live or what is known as a replay. Thank you so much for doing so. If you have any questions for our guest of honor, Harry Carpenter, let us know in those comments. Let us know in the chat. We're more than happy to hear from you as we go on throughout this broadcast. With that being said, Harry, what would you say are some of your favorite books or writers growing up as a wee lad, as a youngin'?
As a wee lad, when I found myself in the before times, let's see. I'm actually looking up at some of them. Obviously, the cliche would be Goosebumps. Who doesn't love Goosebumps? Anybody that's in the horror industry at this point I'd say the younger wave, anybody that's been publishing, post 2000, had to have grown up with Goosebumps in some capacity. So that's an easy low hanging fruit. But looking up, I'm like, I still have some of my childhood books. Doom actually got a novelization way back in the 90s off the video games when there was no story. You were just running through blowing up monsters. The writing style of that, the pacing, the sarcasm, the humor, I'd say that melded its way into like my sci-fi series FUBAR. I enjoyed the Alien versus Predator books, but overall, I'm trying to think of, as a kid growing up, I think it was primarily like Goosebumps. I didn't really vibe with Fear Street. Not that it was anything weird or different, but it just wasn't my jam. For some reason, same guy, but Goosebumps hit differently. But in the later iteration, I started reading more like biographies and nonfiction stuff, like high school time frame. Everybody else is reading what were the kids into then? Would have been like Harry Potter would have been coming out. Trying to think of some of the stuff. But I was reading like biographies on like comedians, and like I had a George Carlin book. Like what 14-year-old has a George Carlin book? And I'd say last on the list would have to be the staple of any kid growing up, especially in the 80s or 90s, the scary stories to tell in the dark, with the version with the messed up drawings inside. If I had to take a wild stab, those would probably be a grouping that I could squeeze together. Goosebumps, scary stories, and video game related novels. And then eventually nonfiction, boring, old people books that aren't full of explosions. I still have George Carlin is still sitting up there. I don't get rid of books. I don't read a lot of books, and most of them are ebooks now, so it makes it easy just to keep the old physical ones.
Makes sense. I'm a little surprised you didn't mention one of the books that I remember reading as a kid that are in the thriller/horror genre was In a Dark, Dark Room.
That's another good one.
It was an anthology. It had like 7 stories in it, something like that.
The one with the girl with the ribbon on her head. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was referring to. There's a girl with a ribbon on her head. There's a kid who's wandering through the street. He's trying to find a ride home, and then he gets into this cab, and the cab driver turns out to be like this ghostly ghoul kind of creature, kind of thing. There was the skeleton. I think there was like a skeleton in somebody's closet, something like that. It was something weird like that.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's definitely one I would probably, if you had to give me a 50-50, it would be Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark all day. But yeah, between the two of them, yeah, they're very prominent.
Yeah, definitely. And A Dark Dark Room is the one I remember diving into the thriller slash, a little bit of the scary genre,
Yeah.
horror, I guess we could call it. So makes sense. Good choices, though. Good choices. Oh, don't we just miss those Scholastic book fairs? Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
So much fun. They were so much fun because
You
because
can
I
go
remember
in.
getting the Boxcar Children, and
Yeah.
Goosebumps was another one that I read because my favorite one was actually The Girl Who Cried Monster
Yeah.
of
Yeah. That
Goosebumps. That's the
one's
one. That's the
that
one that
one's a good
I
one. Yeah.
personally enjoyed. And then there's Phantom of the Auditorium, which is a loose adaptation of Phantom of the Opera. I thought was really good from Goosebumps.
And
By the way.
when they did those for the television show in the
Oh
90s,
yeah,
they did that episode, and
yeah, Phantom of the Auditorium.
it's so stupid and fun.
It is.
I love when it's just like, especially if you've seen Phantom of the Opera, the Broadway iterations or even the classic iteration.
The classic.
And then you watch these parallels, the made for kids version, and it's
Phantom of the
just
Auditorium.
it's just so silly.
Yeah.
You're just looking at the comparisons between the two, and I love when they do that stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely, and the other book series I remember getting as a kid when it comes to the Scholastic Book Fairs, mind you, was Animorphs. Animorphs was a big thing
Oh,
back in the
yeah.
90s. Yeah, that was a huge thing, and they made that into a book to TV show adaptation on
Yes, they
SNCC
did.
on Saturday Night Nickelodeon.
Yep.
I remember the theme song like it were yesteryear, folks. Sean Ashmore, Brooke Nevin, and when they were just young up and coming actor and actresses at the time.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious,
I
Brooke Nevin.
I actually talked to Sean Ashmore for a few moments a couple
Did you?
months ago about that. I just wish that they would have gone as no holds barred as the books were.
Mm-hmm.
They had to water them down. I mean, my God, was it this? I always reference the Starfish book. The girl that can turn into a starfish.
Oh my gosh, what was her name?
There's somebody out there with a shovel just trying to chop her into pieces.
Really?
Like, well, I think he was just trying to chop a starfish to just
Right.
be a horrible human being.
Mhm.
And he's just out there with a shovel, just like cutting her limbs off. And it's just like, the only part of that book I remember is that there was somebody, like a bully or some other
Yeah.
fellow classmate, whatever.
Right.
He's got this like spade shovel, and he's just like, take that, starfish. And it's really just the girl that starfished to find, I think it was a necklace or earring or
Right.
whatever.
Find something
I don't,
else.
it was jewelry or something. She had lost an
It's
heirloom,
yeah.
and the only solution is I turn into a starfish and look for it. I don't know.
Wow.
But
Anybody else remember this? Let me know in the comments below because I would love to know more about this. Maybe I should get a copy of the book or I
yeah,
can't remember. I got to look for it somewhere or another. But speaking of which, because it kind of dives right into the next question. Hey, there's a pun. What would you say were some of your favorite TV series, past or present, aside from the ones that we've already mentioned?
so older stuff. I'm gonna have to go with like Twin Peaks. That's just some weird. It's just a weird watch, and I was a fan of when they came out, the Alan Wake games. And as I'm playing it, I'm going, wait, this is that Twin Peaks show, but in video game form. So I like when things come full circle. But Twin Peaks was a lot of fun as a TV show. I absolutely fell in love with. I mean, you mentioned Snick earlier, but like all the stuff that was on Nickelodeon, like Secret Role of Alex Mack. I loved animation, still love animation, but animation was my jam. So Ren and Stimpy, all these things 100% molded me into what I am. But Pee-wee's Playhouse, I think, was critical in my molding of this brain of mine. But more recently, I'm dabbling in Has Been Hotel. I'm liking that. I did watch. I was deployed in Iraq, and I watched the entirety of Smallville, which we were mentioning the Ashmores. But yeah, like I like a little bit of everything. I don't think there's anything that's just been like, wow, this is my show, and I'll rewatch. But I liked What We Do in the Shadows. I think right now I'm actually catching up on Blackish. I like comedies. Everybody's always like, "Ooh, what horror are you watching today? What spooky, gory movie are you into today?" And I'm like, well, I just watched The Roof Man. But yeah, it's my shows are all over the place. I mean, my God, I like Home Improvement and Seinfeld.
There you go.
And wasn't a Friends fan. I think I like hit or miss with certain references in Friends, but as a whole, eh.
We were on a break. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, the pivot. I mean, like I said, moments. And I think it's the same sentiment with Seinfeld too. Like, I don't know that I like the show as an entirety,
Right.
but it's another moments show
It's a
where
yada
you're
yada
like,
yada. Yeah,
double dip the chip.
that's right.
Cutting a Snickers bar with a knife and fork, that
Oh
kind
my
of stuff.
gosh. Yeah.
Like it's great references, but
That's
I
like
don't
putting your
know that I
whole
like
mouth right in the dip. You know? From now on,
or
when you take a chip, just take one dip and end it. It's just, I'm
or
sorry.
the Junior Mint episode.
My brother raised me on reruns and new episodes when it was still airing at the time, by the way,
Yeah.
of Seinfeld. So I remember watching there are most, not all of them, but there are definitely some standout performances, standout episodes, whatever it
Oh
was.
yeah.
But the double dip the chip thing, I didn't even think about that until like I see the moment happen, and then you go back and you replay it, I guess, in your
Yeah.
mind. You're like, yeah, it is kind of gross to double dip chips, but at the same time, like people have been doing that for years, and now we're just
Yeah.
talking about it. Like, okay, but the way Timmy was doing it, it's just a standout performance by that young actor at that time. So
You may as well just spit into this cup and it's like he's going so over the top with it. And it's like it's not that bad. It is a little but
yeah, you took a
it's
chip,
not like world ending.
you took a bite, and you dipped again. So that's like putting your whole mouth right in the dip. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't double dip your chips, guys. But no, really good stuff. And I remember growing up on all the Nickelodeon shows you mentioned, so I completely agree with you wholeheartedly. And great And by the way, what just out of curiosity, as a sidebar here, because I've said this a million times, but you may or may not have heard this before. Smallville is my number one favorite show of all time.
Oh,
Hands
nice.
down.
Yeah.
Hands down. Love that show. Didn't
Best
start
theme song ever.
well, not only that, I didn't start watching it until midway through season 5. So I was very late to the party.
I
But
was even later.
I'm glad that I jumped on when I did, because once again, Smallville is my favorite show of all time. It got me through a difficult period in my life. So thank you,
Sure.
thank you, Smallville. So, is there a favorite like season or maybe a moment from Smallville that you can remember that stands out to you as being your favorite or one of your favorite moments? I guess.
So I think as a whole, because I had and I told Tom Welling this.
Oh yeah, I met him. Yeah.
I got to tell Clark and Lex
Michael
both
Rosenbaum,
together.
yeah.
So I got to tell both of them together that I 100% had a bootleg copy of Smallville seasons 1 through 9.
Oh my god.
I think I had it go all the way up to the bitter end. And I just, like we can do now with this is like in the early days before Netflix was really bingeable, when you had to wait for
right.
Netflix in the mail.
Right.
I had the files on a hard drive and just sat there, and they could hear it from my headphones. Somebody say, and they're like, "Oh, what season are you on?" I don't know, 5, episode 6. Oh, have you got to this character yet? Have they done this? I think that they did a decent job with the Doomsday arc was pretty decent.
Sure, season 8, yeah.
Yeah, the Doomsday arc. There was a zombie episode. That got weird. I think that was like season 9 or 10. I don't know. Hard to say. I know it was in the back, the later half.
It was season 9, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it was just one of those things where we get so much Superman, and we still do. We just got another reboot. Not that I'm upset about it, but we just got another reboot. Thankfully, they had the wherewithal to skip the beginning and just go right to, hey, anyway, so he's Superman and this is what he does. We've seen Clark's origin story. We've seen Spider-Man's origin story so many times. These are the characters that have been, Batman's parents have been killed in an alley how many times on film? It was nice to actually live in that world, as opposed to it being, here's the start of the movie, and he came to Earth and he was raised by some farmers and now he's Superman. Let's skip that like abridged, condensed version. Let's just drag this out. Not in a negative way, but let's explore what was high school for Clark like as his powers began to develop. What happens, because he knows he has the super strength. He knows that, like I think there was a pivotal scene where Jonathan Kent tells him, because he wants to play football, and he's like, you can't. Like, the dumbed down version is, he's like, bro, you're Superman. You literally cannot play full contact football. You will just turn somebody into powder. And they have these like real, like drama level discussions where you would get like this Seventh Heaven level, this Dawson's Creek level of like serious moment. But you got to think about that. Like you don't ever see that side of Superman. You don't ever see that he's trying to go on awkward dates, and he doesn't feel like he's, this attractive, good looking, muscular dude that, deserves, the hottest cheerleader on the planet. He's just a nerdy kid. And they really play that up. And I think Tom Welling did an amazing job of giving you this, like, this awkward yet finding his confidence level of Clark. It was just if you're a comic book nerd, this is like peak coming of age story for comic book nerds. They just did that very well, I think.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It just because we've actually, my co-host and I, we actually do another show on a different network, and it's called Talon Crew.
Okay.
And we sit down and we're rewatching an episode of Smallville in the first half of the show, and then the second half we're watching 2 back-to-back episodes of Power Rangers in Space, which is the season that single-handedly saved that franchise from cancellation way back when.
Yeah.
And the reason we're watching Power Rangers in Space is because my co-host Dustin has never seen anything past MMPR or some of the Ninja stuff. So
yeah, the original stuff.
Yeah, he went back, binge watched all of Zeo and Turbo to catch up, so that when we did when we eventually started doing the show known as Talon Crew, which you can find on every other Sunday afternoon at 4:00 Eastern time on pilled.net, is the website / streaming service that we use it on. It's great. It's wonderful. So we watch the episode of Smallville. We can commentate during it, or we can just enjoy it, and then we share our thoughts, either during or after the episode concludes, and we're just reliving, the greatness. So I think we're up to the ninth episode in season 1, because we do one episode, per episode. There you go. That's
sure.
Kind of a double standard, but still, it's been so much fun diving back into this thing, because you realize that some of these things or topics, these discussions that Clark has with his parents and everything else, they're so relevant. 25 years later, they're still relevant, and they hold up very nicely. And by the way, my hats are off to the entire cast and crew. I like Harry, I also had the pleasure of meeting Tom and Michael at AwesomeCon a couple years ago. And I told them this. I said, Tom, Michael, I waited 18 years for this moment, 18 years for this, to meet you guys, tell you how much I appreciate the show. I appreciate your performances, what you did for it, and how you guys helped me get through a difficult period within my life at that time when season 5 was on the air, mind you. And it was a wonderful feeling. So if you want to see some of those photos, some of the memories that we made when we were hanging out with the cast of Smallville, it is on our social media channels. So go to the Instagram, the TikToks and Facebooks and all that kind of jazziness, as one might say. Once again, we are here with Harry Carpenter, aka his show, not my show. On And I Quote. Don't forget, see what I did there? Don't forget to like and share. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Do you have any favorite movies, past or present?
Well, I've never heard of this movie called Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I never heard of it either.
Yeah. So definitely not that. I actually really am not a fan of Ghostbusters. I've never heard of the movie in my life. So I actually, so I know the title is Why You Should Read My New Book. But in that book, I actually included a lot of callbacks and quotes and things that reference movies that made me, that I cherish, and that I can. There's a few that I can do rewatches, and there's a few that I just elected to stop watching because I can quote them verbatim. Ghostbusters being one of them. If it's on, I'll watch it, but I'm not going to go out of my way unless I'm really in a mood to just, I need a movie that I know every single beat. It's so bad for me that I had a script writing class, and we had to, on the fly, remember a movie that we've seen and write the script for it, like what we would imagine the blocking and the instructions be. And I was almost mirrored with the original script of Ghostbusters. And I was like, I'm going to have to take a break from this movie. If I know the blocking and the lighting and the sets and the interior and the shots and the basically word for word, I'm going to have to take a back seat to this movie for a bit. But other movies that are up there, I absolutely love Big Trouble in Little China. I absolutely love Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That is my favorite horror movie, and it's a horror movie. I'll die on that hill. There are some scary scenes. his bike was almost murdered multiple times in his dreams. So it's definitely a horror. But Princess Bride is another absolute just staple. But fast forward to more modern times. I absolutely loved Sinners. I think Sinners was a fantastic masterpiece. I'm a fan of the Deadpool movies, obviously. They do very good, and Deadpool comes out in a time where I think we're just a little burned out of superhero movies because Marvel is cranking out either a Disney Plus miniseries or a new Avengers or Avengers adjacent film. It's just kind of refreshing to have this red suited idiot show up and just pick fun at the whole concept. So it's a lot more palatable in this oversaturation of superhero stuff. But I'm trying to think, what did we I watch a lot of the animation stuff, the kid stuff that comes out. That's usually what we go to. But yeah, I'm really all over the place. But a lot of the stuff that I like are the classics. I like the old Dan Aykroyd and John Candy stuff. I made my wife watch. We watched Father of the Bride because we were watching Only Murders in the Building, and she's like, I was like, it's like, have you ever seen a movie with these two guys in it? And she's like, I don't think so. And I was like, you've never seen like Father of the Bride or any of that stuff? No. Especially Three Amigos. But the dynamic to see Martin Short in an overly eccentric role, that would be Father of the Bride, where he plays was it a Frenchman?
Yeah, a wedding
for no reason.
Yeah.
A Frenchman who has such a bad accent that they make him repeat what he says over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'm like, no, these guys have been the same. They're consistent for the past 40, 50 years. That's what I love about it. Like Great Outdoors is fantastic. Planes, Trains, Automobiles, I love. A Christmas Story for me, I know people get burned out on it, but for the holidays, I have to watch A Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation. They're usually my staples, along with the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Because Muppets. Who doesn't like Muppets?
Seriously, yeah, and they just came back too with the Muppet Show. The Muppet Show came back recently.
Have you seen the first episode?
Unfortunately, I haven't seen it yet because I've been tied up with other commitments at this time. But I do have every intention of sitting down and watching it because Sabrina Carpenter is the first guest host of the season.
She was fantastic.
Yeah, Seth Rogen shows up. Some other celebrity cameos show up, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, if only it. And I know he's been no longer with us for a very long time now, but if only Jim were here to see
this
all
continue.
this stuff come back and to see it still remain relevant, 40, 50, 60, 70 years later, which is insane to think about. But it's great because we actually, and I don't know if I told you this or not, some friends of mine and I were sitting here in this virtual studio, and we did a 30th anniversary watch along of Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh, there's no reason Tim Curry should be that good.
Yeah, he's
I call it Michael Caine syndrome. Both of them do the exact same thing. They're like, this is an award-winning production, and I'm going to give it 110%. While there's a bunch of people laying on the floor going, "Hey there," and you're just giving it your Shakespearean level performance. And Tim Curry is no stranger to that. That he held it down, and so did Michael Caine for the Christmas one.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Muppet Christmas Carol.
They're my favorites.
It's my all-time favorite holiday film. To be perfectly honest with you, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, no, did 30th for Muppet Treasure Island. So there you go, Tim Curry. We love you, brother. For sure, and good good choices there too for when it comes to movie properties and all that kind of jazz. No question about it. So when did you start writing?
So I'd always been writing. I don't think I was actually I don't think I ever put anything on paper and I was like, oh, this will be a novel when I'm older. But I had ideas for stories. I can trace it probably back to middle school, and we would write these, I want to use hard air quotes, novels. I think it would fill out if I was to transcribe it today. I still have it. It's somewhere behind me in a book. It's awful. I would leave myself a 1-star review and tell me to stop. But it's it's the beginnings of what I'm doing now. I would just write these stories with these characters and pick fantastical areas, and absolutely more obvious then than it is now, pulling in from the outside world, things that I enjoyed. I think I borrowed heavily from the Doom novel, at least in terms of my understanding of, I had military people. I don't know doodly or squat about the military. My knowledge of the military at that time was Stripes and In the Army Now. Call of Duty wasn't even out then. So I had no knowledge of what rank was what, who was what. All I had was what I read in a novel that had military rankings. I knew nothing outside of, the three ranks that they described. So I think that was like the early stages of, had I been able to do my research. But that was probably in the 90s. And I remember I had a toxic group of friends, and they were like, your writing is bad. Your stories are bad. This guy's stories are good. And it kind of just, I pulled away a little bit from it. I put it off to the side. I had always been creative as far as writing goes. Like I helped write a web series. It's atrocious if you want to go down that rabbit hole. It's on YouTube. It's called The Web Pull. It was where Spider-Man and Venom and eventually Deadpool was added, which is why it's The Web Pull. We filmed these little shorts and episodes, and then we had an actual series. And I wrote for the series, and we did a lot of improv stuff. And that kind of created a lot of the, I don't know, got some gears moving again. And then I was I say more recently, it's been almost 10 years, but more recently, a friend of mine, David, I would exchange with him. This is, probably 2016, 17. I would exchange with him. We would share ex-wife stories. And he's just like, oh, these are, I think they made him feel a little better. But he definitely said, you got to write these down. You got to write this stuff down. So that was actually my first novel, and it's terrible. And then I said, well, this is kind of fun. I liked writing. I liked telling stories. So from telling those stories, I was like, well, my comfort zone, I like horror. I like spooky video games. I'm huge into Resident Evil, Silent Hill. I like Ghostbusters, Evil Dead. All this stuff is kind of in my wheelhouse. So I've also had my fair share of horror events happen in my life. So therein came my first horror, which was my short story collection, Spooky Tales and Scary Things. 100% mirroring for algorithmic reasons, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark in terms of the name. But Spooky Tales and Scary Things was my first foray into the published author world. I made 10,001 mistakes and learned from them and pushed forward into making FUBAR, which was my more long form novel style, where it wasn't just little quick stories where I'm like, hey, anyway, there's a ghost, boo, the end. This was more of like character development, story development, which is still in the works. I have it's going to be a 4-book series, and I'm on 3 out of 4, and 4 is working now. But the story of FUBAR, I found my old book of writings and drawings and creative stuff when I used to like be creative and passionately creative about it. And I was reading my story, and I was like, I see a lot of what I think I foretold my own future with some of the personalities. I have a main character who doesn't take himself serious. I have a traumatic event happening in their world, and the guy doesn't want to deal with it. He wants to divert and deflect to everyone else to please solve my problem. And that is FUBAR in a nutshell. And I'm looking at the two, and I'm just like, this is the foundation for 20 plus years later, for what became my 4-book series novel. But yeah, I feel like I've always been writing, but I don't think I actively started until about 2017, 18. So it's been shy of 10 years at this point. So it's learning and making all the same mistakes over and over again. Not really. But I do see the progress. I see my editors actually going back to my first books, and we're fixing them up. And he did Nightmares Unbound, which is the latest release within the last few months. And he's doing my first book from a long time ago, back in like 2017. And he's just like, this book makes me want to play in traffic. I'm glad you improved. What a compliment, though. This book just makes me want to step outside and just get hit by a bus. With the level of grammatical errors, the way I wrote dialogue, he pulled out a lot of stuff in there, and I was like, wow, I really did. I was that bad. But yeah, we all start somewhere, right, as they say. But yeah, I'd say it's been about a decade I've been putting out books, and it kind of coincides with Fright Reads starting up, because we're on year 6 of that, which is only 3-ish years behind my writing. So FUBAR-ish timeline is about when it came out, shortly thereafter. So yeah, I've been writing for a little bit.
Wow, yeah, you've been writing for a hot minute, more so than anything else. And what else has been going
Yeah.
for a hot minute is this incredible episode of A Night Quote with Harry Carpenter, the guest of honor. Don't forget to like and share. If you have any questions, let us know in those comments. Let us know in the chat. More than happy to hear from you. Great stuff, and thank you for sharing that with us. What would you say are some of the rewards about being a writer?
So overall, as a writer, I think I just like being able to just tell fun, stupid stories. I'm full of them. I've always enjoyed people that can just have fun making their product, whether it's music, movies, writing, stage plays, wherever. If they look like they're having fun. I really hate the I have to do this because this is what I have to do to make money, because it's the expectation. Um, I go against that myself, and I like when people just put together their own thing that they enjoy. As long as they enjoy it, hopefully somebody else out in the world will enjoy it, but at least they can be proud of it. I kind of do that with mine, and I think the reward is seeing other people that can connect to the characters and really enjoy a lot of the world that I've built. And sometimes when I get like a message from a fan, I love those. I think I had there was a girl in Las Vegas, because I'm like, where are you from? Because you're not from around these parts. I don't, you're not somebody that I've seen in the circles or I've met in person. But she picked up the book out in Vegas, which I got the Facebook message, and she's like, you know what you did. And I was like, what did I did? I don't know what I did. And it was she referenced a scene from the new book, and I was like, oh, I was like, well, since you have me, I'll give you a little insight. The more I added to the graphic and gratuitous awfulness of the scene, the more I was laughing, because I'm just adding and just dumping trauma into this one scene, and it just became so silly and absurd. I'm almost in tears laughing, because I'm just like, this is so bad. So I explained that to her, and she says, that makes it even worse that you enjoyed this moment. But she loved it nonetheless. But just wanted to like reach out to me to tell me that it was so awful. And that I know what I did. You know what you did. Yeah, I enjoy the connection with people. That and writing in general has gotten me, because of being in the network and running around in the circuit, I've got to meet so many fantastically talented people, far more talented than I'll ever dream. But like I've met like Dan Franklin of Cemetery Dance. Dan is a super talented dude. I read his like weird take on the Little Mermaid. That kind of dumbs it down, but it's a lot of fun. I got to meet Ron Malfi, who's absolute just gentleman and a scholar, absolutely great dude. Adam, who does Clown in a Cornfield, and just getting to meet like Richard Chismar, who, again, you asked like, what is the reward of the payoff? The reward of the payoff was I told my mom that I was co-signing at a book event next to Richard Chismar, and she immediately gave me a laundry list of books that I needed to pick up. So she's like, what do you mean you're right next to him? I was like, yeah, he's going to be right here. Like, I see his nameplate. When he shows up, I'll be right next to him. So it's the reward is being able to kind of hang out with these cool people, um, and having some celebrities actually own my book. I know Corey Taylor of Slipknot. He owns my serial killer book. Jane Jensen, who we had as a special guest at Fright Reads, from Tromeo and Juliet and a illustrious industrial music career. She has the new one, Nightmares Unbound. So it's kind of cool to know that these people have like picked up my book. And I can just if I can get a review from like Corey Taylor of Slipknot. But my pitch has always been Corey Taylor owns this book. He may have set it on fire or threw it away 10 minutes later, but he at one point touched a copy. I have to follow up and see if that ever amounted to anything. But yeah, it's just kind of this cool world where when you tell people you're a writer and then you go kind of down this rabbit hole of what you do, they start to just go, because generally a lot of people are dismissive of the arts in general. It's always followed up with, well, what do you really do for a living? And it's like, I write books. And they're like, oh, so that's like your job. Well, Fright Reads technically, but and event planning and management. But yeah, technically, yes, the writing is my job. So it's always fun to go down the rabbit hole of like how impactful is this job in my life? And then when people finally stop that, like crossing the arms and go, that's not a real job. And they start listening and they go, oh, that's kind of cool. So you got to go to, like, I went to Mobile, Alabama last month for no reason in particular other than being invited down to a bookstore. I was like, well, I'll get a plane. Let's go on down there. So it's kind of neat. And then when you tell people you went to Mobile, Alabama, or the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, or, you did a signing in Colorado, it kind of adds a little bit of authenticity to what you're doing, because you're not just doing the 5 bookstores that are within 10 minutes of your house. I that's the stuff that I like with doing it. Yeah, honestly, if I had to pick anything, it's just, I like the experience and getting to meet and talk to the people. Fans and other authors, like the stuff that I've got to do is just monumental.
Well, that's just more phenomenal, man. Truly more phenomenal. There's a phrase from the 90s I'm never going to forget. If you grew up watching Saturday mornings on Fox Kids, you know what I'm talking about, because it's morphin' time, folks. Flip side of the coin, though, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges about being a writer?
I am. I am my biggest challenge.
Excuse me? Baking powder? What'd you say? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Baking powder?
Mm-hmm.
God, I love that movie. So some of the or referencing that movie and then moving on, if you're gonna spew in this. But some of the challenges does feel like I'm that tiny little cup that Garth is trying to pass up. A lot of it is my own head. Like I said, I am my biggest challenge. It's the creative process. I was actually I do some school stuff, and the creative process comes up, and it's like these kids are like, that's not real. And I'm like, oh, 100%. They're like, no, because people believe in positivity and believe in themselves. And I was like, no, there's a reason that lady on that TED Talk 100% said, you'll create something and then look at it and be like, oh my God, I did this. And then 10 minutes later, oh, this is crap. And then you go through this ebb and flow of, this is great, this is crap, this is great, this is crap. That's authors. I mean, you'll just ebb and flow with, this is a stupid idea, I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna delete it, nobody wants to read this, to this is the greatest book of all time. It may or may not be, but to you it just ebbs and flows. So it's that, and I'm sure other authors will agree, it's the imposter syndrome too. It's the, when somebody goes gaga over you, you're like, I ain't nobody. I'm not Stephen King. Why are you losing your mind over me? But it's that imposter syndrome. And I don't know what, for a lot of us, and I'm speaking for a lot of authors and creatives, I don't know what that catalyst would be to push you over the fence. So you do realize maybe you are that guy or girl or person. You are that individual. You are, maybe you're not Stephen King level. That dude has a mansion with his own custom spooky gate and movie deals out the wazoo. But maybe you're not that level. But comparing it to somebody that's a little bit more closer to my level, look at somebody like I mentioned earlier, the talented Adam Caesar. Adam we read his first book for book club. It's fine. It's not wowing anybody. It's kind of like a cliche, like Body Snatchers type of story, but it was fun enough. But for whatever reason, Clown in a Cornfield hit the ground running, and he'd been writing for not forever, but it took a while. And then you see his success, and then anybody that's kind of sitting down here going, how dare he? But at the same time, we all want that. We all want our stuff to be turned into movies that are shown in the theaters and all. So it's not unobtainable, but I think it's just you're looking at what's right in front of you, the old forest for the trees saying. You see what's right in front of you, and all you have in front of you is this craft show that you're vending at, or you're at some local community fair, you're at such and such con or festival, and you're not doing these grandiose things. But then you have to remember Stephen King, knowing that he's the top tier, he's the household name that he is. That guy started by getting rejected by a bunch of newspapers and submissions that he put through. He probably went through hundreds of absolutely not emails, or probably returned paper mail because email wasn't there. But he went through a lot of notices that said no thank you before he got something put on paper and published and started to get his traction. So I think the biggest obstacle is yourself, and in my case it's me, because I'm not a real author, or I even in the new book I don't take myself that serious. I jokingly say that I'm a famous author, but I'm not. But and my pitch for the book is, in this book, it's a fictional story about me where I'm a super famous author. That's the fictional part. The rest of it is completely real. It's that imposter syndrome for me. I think it's just, I don't feel like I'm at that level, but I know that there's tons of people that come up and see me at every event and get whatever the latest release is, or talk to me about what they felt or thought during book X, that kind of thing. So I do get that same stuff. Maybe I just don't see it because it's me. And I just need to see myself from the outside and go, that guy over there with like 4 people talking to him about a book. I need to be that. I need to be on the outside and see me for what I'm doing, I think.
Gotcha, 100%. And imposter syndrome is something I struggle with too when it comes to my writing. I always compare myself to other people, other writers, because I'm in a writer's Discord. I look at all the progress my fellow writers are doing, which is great. I'm happy for every single one of them. But when you look at those numbers, they're like, oh, I wrote 10,000 today, or 10,000 within the last week. Oh, I wrote 5,000 yesterday. I wrote 2,000 this morning, whatever it was. Words, by the way, these are words. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, in the words of that movie we were talking about earlier, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
And it does give you,
I feel so intimidated. I feel like I'm getting beaten by the Injustice League. Not the Justice League. The Justice League are good people, but the Injustice League. You think,
or maybe both. At this point, they've just teamed up and just started
maybe it's
beating
both.
you all around Metropolis.
Maybe there was an episode concerning the Injustice League in Smallville. That's how good Smallville is. They can throw in these little Easter eggs and these special made episodes for during the course of each season, respectively. And
how about the Aquaman going off to be the best Jack Reacher live action that we will probably ever get?
Alan Richardson. Yeah. Dude, and when he was Aquaman in Smallville, he was like this big, but nowadays he's like built like 3 semi.
He grew up.
People tend to grow.
That dude's a Mack truck.
But dude, he's bigger than like 30 Mack trucks. Like that guy is a beast. And I'm thinking to myself, if they were going to cast a live action Justice League, like a reboot of the Justice League, Alan Richardson is definitely a shoo-in as like an older, somewhat older grizzled version of Aquaman, because they had a grizzled version of Aquaman in JLU, Justice League Unlimited.
Yes, they did.
So that would, for Alan Richardson today, that would work.
Yeah, and I think he's toyed with being Batman, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to say no.
No, because he could do it. He could.
I don't want to be the one to say no to the man. Somebody else should, but
No,
I won't.
I can see it though.
Yeah, but
If
it's
were to
but it is that it's just that feeling that, you know, you were saying like the word count, and you can't
progress.
you need these groups,
Mhm.
but you can't be in them because everybody's talking about how many things that they're publishing and what they're doing, and then
About to.
you're getting that left out, like, oh yeah, I just finished 10,000 words in my book, and you're just like,
Oh,
I put four.
I put 400 down today. You know, that's something.
Yeah. I opened the document.
Yeah, open the Google
I
Doc. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I closed it, but I opened it, so that counts.
Mhm.
You know, that kind of thing, and it's that comparison to everyone else, and that's
Yeah.
true with anything, anywhere. I mean, look
Any
at the people that want to be, you know, influencers or TikTokers. They see the people that are living the lavish life, but it's just I call it the Pee-wee's Playhouse backdrop that they pull down. But like, you know, you're seeing, you don't know what author X is doing right now.
That's true. That's true.
They're struggling and living, you know, probably in a 1-bedroom studio, trying their best. And maybe you are actually doing better than them, but you don't know because you're just putting one to the other. And, you know, it's an unfair comparison. You know, everybody's different. Everybody's successes are also rated differently.
Yeah.
What I consider to be a success is different than what you may consider to be success.
Yeah, the struggle is real, folks. It happens to
Oh
everybody,
yeah.
every business, any industry, for sure, for sure. So, what advice would you give to aspiring writers out there?
So anybody who has sat through the panel that we host at Fright Reads, it's called Authors 101. I don't think I got to last year because everything was on fire, but I usually jump up on that stage to be the first voice, and I'm like, listen, if you want to be a writer, have you opened up Microsoft Word, Google Docs, what have you, and started writing anything? Do you have a notepad of just some like disjointed ideas that formulate some sort of a story? Well, congratulations, you're a writer. Don't ever let the idea of making something, like if you have colored pencils and you start doodling on a page, you're an artist. It might not be good art, might be the worst thing anybody's ever seen, but you're trying, and the only way you can refine that and get that to be something that is palatable for everyone is to first start, actually just do. I mean, I put out a really bad book when I started. It didn't stop me. Should have stopped me. Everybody asked me to stop, but I still did it. But I would say it's persistence and never stop absorbing information. The biggest thing is, you know, and with that absorbing information, look at your peer group, not your friends, not the people that you go out and have a beer with or, you know, play video games with or whatever, but people that are in your workspace. If you're a musician, if you're an author, if you're an artist, what have you, make sure you're setting yourself up with the right people. You don't want people that are going to be spinning their wheels, constantly doing the same thing, making the same errors, making the same mistakes, and assuming that they're doing their best possible work. I'd say in the last couple of years, I started affiliating myself with different authors, just trying to see who's out there. I love J.A. Barrios because I've never seen an author that humble and eager to create the next big work. I love that. I love that for him. And he writes these books that are like this thick. And I'm not about that life. But I respect his hustle, and he's constantly learning new marketing techniques. Then I got like another author, Brian Paoni, who if you want to see somebody who is an encyclopedic, like living organism of the Chicago manual style, which is mostly the most accepted format and formatting for any kind of like publication, that guy, he's a walking encyclopedia of the rules. Just getting to like bounce ideas off of him and say, hey, is it going to be this word or would I use this word? Or if I phrased it like this, is it this? What was it? I said, like the basic line of just extended a hand for a handshake. And he's like, that sounds stupid in elementary. Proffered my hand, which he accepted for the handshake. And you're like, that sounds so much better. Wow, I sound less stupid. Thank you. But it is it's just a matter of just taking the time to care. And I found myself at this point just surrounding myself with better people. So I would say, for starters, just put something together. And the second half of that is make sure you're around the right people. And that goes for everything anyway. Like your mom always said, or they say in the after school specials, you're hanging around with the riffraff that's going nowhere. Make sure you're not hanging around with the riffraff that's going nowhere. Make sure that they're here to not only receive guidance from you, but you can also receive guidance from them, and it all pushes you in the right direction, which hopefully is an illustrious 400 novel career that has 75 Netflix options, that kind of thing. Or at least your friends like your books. Start small. But yeah, what's the is it Pop Star that's never stop, never stopping?
Yeah.
Yeah, just never stop, never stopping. Just keep going. No matter how awful you think you're doing. It doesn't mean you have to publish every single thing that you rattle out, but option it for, creative writing contests, option it for public speaking, open mic nights. Try to find, get a couple of people to read it. Those are easily the first steps. So if you're looking to get into writing, get into writing. There's nobody stopping you. The best part about writing is you don't have to buy these expensive $100 pieces of canvas and illustrious art supplies and brushes. You don't have to buy a grand piano and guitars. You just need a laptop at best, or typewriter, or a pad of paper and a pen. And I don't recommend that, because transposing that to like digital is just hell on earth. But you have the means to do so at a super low budget method. Most of us have a desktop or a laptop computer or a tablet. We have the means to actually get these words into a digital medium that could eventually amount to a published book. So as far as writing goes, it is one of the more accessible options for creative outlets. So don't let it stop you. Just put it together. Don't let you get in your own way.
He's right, you're absolutely right. There's the meme that goes back many years. But yeah, no, it makes total sense, man. Thank you for sharing those. Do greatly appreciate it. So an example that we'd like to share with you and with you who may be watching or listening to this right now, Nightmares Unbound. My goodness gracious, I'm getting some Nightmare on Elm Street vibes here. So what exactly is Nightmares Unbound, and how did that come about?
It's the worst book ever written.
But keep going.
So
the best idea for a sales pitch, but we could do better than that. Let's go.
It's awful. You don't. What was it, Dewey Cox? You don't want this book.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want it. It'll give you nightmares. So Nightmares Unbound came from a note that I wrote on my phone. I don't know how long ago it was, but it had been sitting on my phone for a long while. And the note was, a Comic-Con that kills everyone. And I would look at it and go, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do with that. I mean, it sounds like a cool premise, but like, what do you do with that? And then I formulated 3 different ideas at one point. And one of them was I was going to have it be where a magician sorcerer was a special guest, and he did some magic and then summoned a whole bunch of evil spirits. And I was like, boy, that's really out there. Option B, I looked at, there was one that I had a lot of people tell me absolutely not, which was they were going to bring in all of the living serial killers to a horror convention and have them under like high security, and you could pay for a special ticket, a large sum of money, I'm sure, and you could actually sit down with them for 5 or 10 minutes and ask any questions you wanted. And it sounded like it was going to be a cool premise, but they were like, so how did they get them there? And I was like, I don't know, they transport them. Well, how do they get out of their locked up cages? And I was like, great question. and then it turned into basically a tornado or a hurricane had to like demolish part of the building, and then it just got so convoluted. I was like, no, no. So Nightmares Unbound in its current form was, what if it's just me attending a convention like I normally do, Farpoint or AwesomeCon or, a Fright Reads or, any of these things like I would normally do with all of my buddies. And something goes horribly wrong. And then I started thinking about what goes horribly wrong. Out of nowhere, the doors and windows just lock on the busiest part of Saturday, like in the thick of it. And the doors and windows lock, everything's shut down, the lights shut off. There's a gas that's released, and when the lights come back on, they're a dark red. And in the distance, where there were these grandiose, lavish displays, they have now been lifted up on pulleys, and underneath of them were all of these like cloaked crazy people. And they just start taking out everybody without, regard for who or what. It's equal opportunity in there. And it becomes myself and a lot of my author and artist friends that we do the circuit together, like Brian Paoni, who I mentioned, Javier, J.A. Barrios. He's one of the characters that becomes a staple of the story. And several of us we're just trying to survive. We just want to live. Part of the adventure is the first half of the book. What I was told in a review, somebody sent me a message and said, this is what I think about your book. And they were actually kind words this time. What they thought about my book was it's one half slice of life. The other half is slice. So I love that description because the first half of the book is literally going along with real me. A lot of the thoughts, feelings, and ideas that I have while I prepare for any convention. If I'm getting ready for, let's say, AwesomeCon, I think is the next one coming up for me. If I'm getting ready for AwesomeCon, how do I pack? What are my thoughts? What's going through my head? Who am I excited to see? Are we making dinner plans? Yeah, sure. I'm going to sit at my table and sell books, but I want to talk about everything else that's around that. And then the second half of the book is, once we get to the convention and people start getting holes put in them, that becomes a survival horror thriller, borderline splatterpunk level book. So it's really a nice juxtaposition. And that second half is now you're just trying to figure out along with us what is happening. Like, why is this happening? Who's doing this? We need to get out of this building. I am also not here to play Sherlock. I'm not here to play action hero. I am here to find an exit, and if you happen to be with me when I find it, we're out. If not, well, you should have found me sooner. What a selfish way to think of things. But honestly, what is the realistic thing? Nobody's an action hero. So it became that. And I had a lot of my author and artist friends that said, yeah, absolutely, put me in your book. So I get to kill all my friends. And it has now led to, it's not quite a spoiler. Of course, I live so I can tell the story. I am preparing to write at least 2 more of this franchise. So it's kind of cool.
Nice. Congratulations, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
You really took the storyline to 100 different directions. Goodness gracious. It's like trying to find the right compass.
Could you imagine if I went with that hurricane angle? What a dumpster fire pile of crap that would have been.
It would have ended up like that movie that came out many moons ago, or I think it was like 7-8 years ago. It was called Hurricane Heist. I don't know if you ever heard of that movie.
Yeah. What a terrible. Yeah. And that's 100% would have been. We're trying to break into this bank or casino or what have you while there's a hurricane coming, but now there's alligators because the water got flooded. Like you're just starting to add in all these reasons why. And it becomes so convoluted when you start adding more reasons that why don't we just dial it back from the over-the-top grandiose and turn it into, now it's just a grounded reason why this is happening. This is something that, not to say could happen, not to put fear into people, but, this is something that could happen. The odds of a hurricane showing up while we have the world's still remaining most notorious serial killers under lock and key that are now their locks have now been exposed. What a reach. Nightmares Unbound became a lot more honed in, fine-tuned, and less of a reach and more humanized. That's how I look at it anyway.
No, no, I get it. I completely get it. Makes total sense. Once again, we're here with indie writer extraordinaire Harry Carpenter on And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Any other special memories for you from being at conventions or other events, whether you're there as a vendor or there as an attendee, aside from the ones you've already shared?
So, as a vendor, I have different experiences than I don't really attendee much anymore. I'm usually like, well, let's get a table and sell. If I'm going to be there, I'm going to make money, or at least pretend to make money. But as an attendee, I used to cosplay a lot. Like I had to go to an event and I had to dress up as something. I can't just go as jeans and a t-shirt me. I have to dress up. Some of my favorite memories of being an attendee, me and a buddy of mine, we went as Rick and Morty, and just running around as Rick and Morty at a convention. I'm not bound to a table. I'm not, I can just go ahead and hang out and just run all over the floor. But running around as Rick and Morty was one of my favorite memories because the two of us were in character the entire time, and people would actually come up to us, and I would be off like looking at something at a table a few steps away, and people would come up to JD and go, Hey Rick, where's your Morty? And he's like, what are you, stupid? Of course I got my Morty. I wouldn't travel without my Morty. And he'd be like, hey Morty, get over here. And I come over and I'm like, oh geez, oh man, Rick. And I would come up with like this improv, just stupid stuff, making people laugh. And I love doing that anyway. But making people laugh with the experiences and being in character. I think one of my favorite quips was, oh no, he's like, hey Morty, they want to take a picture. And I'm like, I don't want to take any more pictures, Rick. The last time somebody tried to take my picture, I was in the bathroom and it was really uncomfortable. And I come up with scenarios and ideas. And I do the same thing dressed up as Deadpool when I went to conventions. I was very quick-witted and on top of it. But I kind of started dialing that back. Now I find myself on the other side of the table. So now a lot of it is networking with cool people. But I think the shared experience between the two sides of the table have been just being able to meet like really awesome people, getting to meet and talk to celebrities that I've just been enthralled with since forever, whether it's a recent movie from the past 5 or 10 years, or if it's somebody from a flick from like the 1970s or 80s. Getting to sit down and hang out with these people, and now running the Fright Reads angle, now I really do get to sit down and hang out with these people and not just give them money and say, hey, I really loved you in that movie. And they go, thank you, and sign a name and keep moving. Now I'm actually sitting down and talking to them. So the experience for me has just been, it's two different sides of the house for experiences, but generally speaking, I just have a good time meeting all these different people, I think, in any regard.
No, it's always good. And anytime we go to a book festival or a Comic-Con, that's the best part, is just meeting with people, talking with people. Networking is another big thing for myself, and I'm sure Harry would agree too. So it's all good, man. Good memories there. So for someone who's unfamiliar with Halfway to Halloween and Fright Reads, what exactly are they?
Those are the coolest events you'll ever go to, and you should get your ticket right now. So Halfway to Halloween, since that's the most closest event to us right now, Halfway to Halloween actually started because Fright Reads came first. That started in 2021, right after the pandemic. We had our first event. We were still kind of masked up. We were still, boy, what a socially distanced room. I think I had 6 or 7 feet between every booth. We had 12 to 15 vendors. We made it work. We played it safe. We made it work. But I think we did that, move locations. And then when I switched the event to the 2-day event, that's about when everything started to kind of fall out and become something else. I kept hearing a lot of, man, if you just ran more events like this throughout the year. And I couldn't think of any reason or place, or I'm not going to do the same thing, 2 times a year. That's just stupid. Stupid for me. I would probably physically expire. running 2 fright reads is but the idea was there, and Curmudgeon Books actually said, I want to run an idea by you. Would you like to run an event at Marley Station Mall in Glen Burnie? It would be your normal thing, but I'd like to get this all together as a sponsor, basically. So we did. He made all the communications and the contacts, and as they say, the rest is history. But it was the answer to people saying, I want more fright reads. And I said, well, I don't want to do a whole fright reads, but what if we did, like, I call it, it's Fright Reads Book Festival, but half the calories. It's like the Diet Coke version. It's halfway to Halloween is at Marley Station Mall in Glen Burnie, Maryland. We have about 100 different vendors, authors, creators, crafters, fudge company. And this year in particular, we have Nancy Ann Ritter from Scream. We've had her in the past. She was fantastic. She was one of the bullies. And the two of them were the ones talking trash about Nev Campbell's character and like, oh, I bet she's faking it. She's making it up. Oh no, Mr. Ghostface, don't kill me. So I wanted her back, but then their agent presented the idea I should also get Lenora, who is her bullying counterpart in the bathroom. So now we have Nancy Ann and Lenora both, so you can get the pairing of them for photo ops, or knocking out simplicity for getting 2 signatures at once. Halfway to Halloween is just a really low-key, like, just a good vibe. We have some cool panels that happen. We have a stage play that goes on. Things Forsaken sets up most of what they normally would have at even the big festivals, save for the motorcycle sidecar and a few other like photo oppy things. But they usually bring the electric chair you can sit in. We have face painting. There's just a whole bunch of cool stuff going on. So halfway to Halloween is a good, dip your toe in to see if you like going to book festivals. See if you can meet some of your favorite authors without having this big, expansive building to navigate and explore. If you like the vibe that you get at halfway to Halloween, that's going to be the day before Mother's Day. It's going to be May 9th this year. So it's going to be pretty cool. If you like that vibe and you want to do it again, but bigger, Fright Reads Book Festival is the week before Halloween, October 24th and 25th. So yeah, I try to put it near things you can remember. But that event is going to be just absolutely bananas. That one features hundreds of authors, crafters, creators, celebrity special guests, live music. I don't do that at the other one because it's a tiny mall and I really don't want to just blow everybody out of the building. But the larger fairgrounds building at the Howard County Fairgrounds, we have a lot more room to play. And last year we actually had Hip Hop McDougal performed, I think, on Sunday. And it was the silliest and best thing I ever sat through. And it was so good that I needed them back. So they were one of the first people I signed back on. We also reached out to a local group called Beach Creeper. And if you've never heard like zombie surfer rock, songs about cryptids and werewolves and mummies that are like, say, like Rock Lobster by B-52s, you need to come out and see Beach Creeper. It's included with your ticket. You don't have to pay concert fees or anything like that. You just come in, enjoy everything that we offer, and then sit down or, stand up for a musical performance. Stand up, rock out. No crowd surfing, please. But it's an experience. Fright Reads itself is an experience. We have stuff like Harrah's Nightmare has a haunted house set up. Harrah's actually set up at halfway to Halloween with an entire like front facade of a house, of a haunted house. And it made for the most amazing photo ops. It looks so good. And they built that in like 3 days. So if you have a chance, get out to Hagerstown, I believe they're in, and go see Harrah's Nightmare. They're doing a Valentine's Day thing a couple of days from now. So you definitely want to check out the talent that they have. They bring that to Fright Reads so far every year that we've had them. We're going to have that. The Charm City Ghostbusters are going to be setting up with the Ecto-1 and what they call the Experience. which to break that down is an entire facade of the firehouse from Ghostbusters. They got a couple of hallways, the basement area, and of course the ecto, and on the tables are interactive exhibits where there's stuff from the movie. So if you remember the bubbling slime, well, you can make the slime bubble. If you're remembering the Venkman psychic test and you want to see if you see a circle or wavy lines, they have that on there. If you want to put a trap away and bust a ghost, that's an option. They do such a cool thing, and that's all included with your ticket. All they ask is for donations to the charities that they're representing. You can't complain about that. I mean, my God, you're donating some money to a good cause. You're not just not to say they don't deserve the gas money or whatever, but you're not putting money in somebody's pocket. You're putting it towards a viable and dignified charity in the back end. But we also have we're doing a film festival again. I'm working on the groundwork for that. But last year we featured Things Forsaken, had Faces of the Undead Part 1. They played that. We had Slasher Nurses play. Just a lot of fun. Just we had some really cool stuff playing in the little theater. And that's all included with your ticket. The only thing you need is the wristband. Once you pay to get in, you just go, well, movie I want to see starting at 2:30, so I'll take a quick lap and then pop up the hill. Yeah, it's just an experience. Just to sum up, it's an experience. They're both one and the same in terms of what they are, but Halfway to Halloween is a smaller inside of a mall event, and Fright Reads itself is a 800-foot long building full of just crazy cool stuff to look at.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to sit down or go to Halfway Halloween. I'm gonna plan to go this year. And then Fright Reads, I was there last year. That's how Harry and I met. We started talking there.
Yeah.
I met a lot of the vendors. I handed out my business cards because it's called networking, folks.
Yes.
And it was a lot of fun. And a lot of those writers have agreed to be guests on this very program that you're watching or listening to right now. So Harry, thank you for putting on that event. It was fun last year, and a number of your author guests have been either guests in the last several weeks, if not months, or they're going to be guests on upcoming episodes of And I Quote. So your reputation keeps spreading, man. So you better tune in for those episodes.
Yeah, I usually pop in when I see them pop up, and I try to just hang out for a few minutes, and if I can. But it's great. I tell people it's 100% worth networking at an event like this. For your case, to get more content so you can talk to more people. For somebody that's looking for like maybe an audiobook narrator, maybe somebody needs an editor. I literally have for Fright Reads, and I think Halfway to Halloween, there's a few editors that are on board. You just go to their booth, find where they are. If you're looking for cover designers, I have artists out the wazoo. Talk to one of them if you like their art style. See if they'd be willing to take on a book art job, or interior books, or children's books, or whatever you're working on. Or even if you're not an author, do you need album artwork for your band? Do you need a band logo? Artists, do you want somebody to help do this, that, and the other? Find that person within Fright Reads. Do you want your book potentially pitched to publishing companies? I have those there too. It's worth giving something a shot. I would say, well, what's the quote is, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And that was a quote that was requoted by Michael Scott.
Oh yeah.
It's the dumbest thing. I love that. But you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I'm not encouraging you to fill up my roster with ticket sales, although ticket sales are great, but I try to create an opportunity for everyone, whether you're a reader and all you want to do is just be completely shotgun blasted with so many authors, and you're just going to have to take your time and go table to table to find your new favorite. Or if you're there for business reasons, whether you're getting interviews or you're looking for, content for your page, you're looking for a cover designer, you're looking to network with like-minded authors. Hey, do you mind if I get your contact info? Can I hang out? Can I message you online if I have questions, concerns? A lot of us will probably say yes. It's just a good opportunity for so many reasons. Especially in this world where your outlet for books is either the very, 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 very finely curated and tiny areas of the bookstores where it's 80% Stephen King and 20% Darcy Coates. I said what I said. And then like there's like this little fraction of a percent where you'll see some new names. And it's such a rare breed to see a plethora of, we're going back to the previous movie reference. We're seeing a plethora of, indie authors, or even like, signed to like Penguin or something. You're seeing newer names. You don't quite get that at the bookstores unless they're specifically curated for that. Fright Reads and other book festivals give you the opportunity to see people that are just lost in that sea that's Amazon. There's 10,000 authors in one genre alone. How do you find them? The easiest way is to walk around a festival and look at them. I think it's worth coming out for just a number of reasons.
So in other words, the more you know. See, there you go. I know exactly. There's a throwback for you, Harry. That worked, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely works. And and congratulations to you and your team on that. Halfway to Halloween and Fright Reads Book Festival. Yeah, Fright Reads was definitely a trip. Looking forward to seeing how the Charm City Ghostbusters come back with that experience and stuff like that. Because they were kind of in the early stages of developing it and stuff like that. So now they're going to
I was
detail into it.
So for the experience, that was phase 1.
Yeah, that was just phase 1.
So they were just trying it out. Baltimore Comic-Con got like 1.5. They were able to add a few extra things that worked.
Pieces.
And then now they're, throughout the year building up on it. So I'm sure it's going to be pretty cool by the time they get around the next year.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. And we look forward to seeing them at Bright Reads. That's going to be one heck of a trip, isn't it? That's just do us all a favor, folks. When you go to Fright Reads or Half-Life Halloween, just don't cross the streams.
Or do.
I mean, just maybe. I don't know. It's just it's just
do what you want.
Yeah. This reminds me of the time you tried to drill a hole through your head. That wouldn't have worked if you hadn't stopped me. Like, you know what, Egon? I'm going to take back some of the things I said about you. Takes out a crunch bar. You
earned it. So yeah, I actually because of a guest announcement, that was actually the quote within the Ghostbusters chat. I take back some of the bad things I said about you.
You've earned it.
So it's always a Ghostbuster quote. So there's one for every occasion.
We could throw one in there for good measure. Who is an author, living or dead, you would love to have a conversation with?
The go-to would obviously be Edgar Allan Poe, but if I got this, so with what I've been doing lately, there are authors that I want to talk to, and then I get to talk to them. So Jeff Strand, he is an author that kind of writes in the same vein I do. We write gnarly horror, but it's also funny. Funny for the wrong reasons sometimes. But I got to actually, host a panel with him, and actually got to interview him. So that would have been a name on the list. But Jeff's good people. If you haven't read any of Jeff Strand's books, he's good people. Check out his books. But for somebody, I feel like I want some time with R.L. Stine, but I don't know. Like, I don't know that I think it would be fun to go up and get like a Goosebump book sign and then Jet. I don't know if I want to sit down with him because, you have such a reverence for him or Stephen King or these people. Like, I don't know that I'd want to actually sit down and talk to some of these guys. I don't know. I do think that Edgar Allan Poe would be a interesting meetup. That guy probably is not going to be it's going to be a wild encounter, at least, as I wear my passive aggressive Raven shirt that says never mind. I feel like that would be a fun get. If I could sit down with Poe, yeah, we'll go with the cliche, Edgar Allan Poe, because there are so many questions you have about story inspirations, ideas, and thoughts, and if he was willing to divulge, you could pick his brain.
That's a fair point. fair point. And he is, he was a Baltimorean,
Yeah,
Maryland.
yeah.
So makes sense. Keep the hometown pride going. I mean, heck, our football team is named after him with
Oh yeah.
both the Raven Nevermore. So, by the way, just out of curiosity, did you see the movie The Raven with John Cusack and Alice Eve? Did you ever see that movie that
It's
came out
not
like 10
bad.
years ago?
It's not bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad either. I actually quite enjoyed it. Granted, it obviously took creative liberties with him
Yeah,
being
yeah.
kind of a private detective and helping the police figure out who was
Yeah.
killing off all these people in accordance with his stories, or like
But it
doing
wasn't
in
bad.
tribute to the stories. But at the same time, it was still kind of a okay. He was a drunk. He had his demons, and he was trying to fight through them. And he had a lost love, and I think it was Alice Eve was his love interest at one point. And they're
Yeah.
trying to he's trying to get his life back together to a certain extent. And then all of a sudden, these murders happen in the
Yeah.
center of Maryland or Baltimore, whatever it is. And the inspector, played by Luke Evans, believe it or
Yeah.
not, who goes on to play Dracula and Dracula Untold.
Yeah,
years
right
later,
after.
I'm like, okay, all right, this is what if he was a detective? What if he tried to solve mysteries of people killing, this man or this person killing these murder victims that are attributing to his stories that he's written for the papers. So it's an interesting what if scenario.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because if you're gently familiar with his work, it's a good way to kind of dive in. And it's kind of fun to see that a lot of Poe's work is still being, rewritten or reappropriated. There's the Fall of the House of Usher, which that was Netflix, I think. They did a iteration of that where it was a live action, modernized, but held true to what he wrote, all those years ago, just with new characters, and a lot of the characters experienced things that happened to other characters in other Poe stories, like the Cask of Montequillo. There was the Red Death, nod to that, among others. And I loved what they did with it. Again, it's another one of those they took a lot of creative liberties, but kept a story where it was centered around not only Poe's work, but kept the same intensity and everything. There's also an author, T. Kingfisher, that did their own take on the Fall of the House of Usher. It's called What Moves the Dead. We actually read that for our book club for Fright Reads. If anybody wants to join, we meet up at a crepe shop once a month and trash talk a book. Just kidding. But we read that for book club, and it was kind of like the foundation, or the bottom layer was that this was the House of Usher, and these are the two of the main characters from the story, the decrepit house, etc. And then we're done with that. I'm doing, as an author, my own thing and making a whole new universe and world, with the backbone just being the Fall of the House of Usher. So it's kind of interesting how his work is still crazy relevant today, and how people are just taking it and ingesting it and turning out their own take on a story that's similar.
That's a good point. Good point. And yeah, I'll have to look up some of these documentary stories, that kind of deal. There's, granted, my TBR is 600 miles deep. I'm sorry, but it's what happens when you end up buying up all these books and you hardly ever read them. But in this case, in 2026, one of my goals for 2026 rather is to start chipping away at this TBR. And I've already read several of the books, and I've posted my reviews for each book on Goodreads.com or on the Goodreads app, wherever you have access to that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. What is one book that belongs on everyone's bookshelf?
Mine.
Well, you can't.
There's
Right,
your
well,
one-word answer.
I should have given
Mine.
you the caveat that is not one of your own.
Any one of mine. I'm trying to think. So I've read. So going back to what I said in the beginning, that I read a lot of biographies, memoirs, those kind of things. The nonfictions. A couple of my top ones that I remember reading and being like, "Wow, this is really good." I liked Mike Rowe. The way I heard it, he does a really good job of telling his life story by telling someone else's life story each chapter. So, the first chapter, he talks about a World War II soldier who used to steal all the audio visual equipment and hook up speakers and a record player and point the speaker towards a Nazi camp, and he would play Al Jolson and other like prominent Jewish singers blared at them. And if anybody doesn't know the history, that's Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks was in the war and definitely liked to cut up. And he tells that story, and then he says, well, much like Mel, I found myself, and he would talk about how that relates to something in whatever time period he was going. And it goes chronologically for the most part. But he kind of relates it. I tell everybody that one was fantastic. And if you can't, I know you want to, it's a coffee table idea, but the audiobook is 10 times better because Mike Rowe actually reads it. So if you like the Dirty Jobs guy, it's a good book. Outside of that, though, I more recently read Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died. Especially with us talking about Nickelodeon and Nick at Night and Snick and all of that stuff. It past our time, but iCarly and all of those shows. Nickelodeon was kind of a dirty place to work for back in the 90s and early 2000s. It probably still is. But they had a lot of scandalous behind the scenes things. And like more famously, you heard about Amanda Bynes, and I mean, she was all over the news for a good while.
Right.
And a couple of people kind of came forward. Drake Bell came forward with some stories, but Jeanette McCurdy, she came out with this book where she doesn't name names, but you know damn well who she means. But it talks about how her mom never got to make it in Hollywood. So she pushed her daughter as hard as possible and made every sacrifice, not her own sacrifices, but sacrificed her daughter, would throw her to the wolves as often as possible to get a glimmer of that fame. And it is such a, if I wasn't having to be somewhere, I would have pulled over just to listen to something because it was that just impactful, because you're going through the book and you're just like, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way somebody's mom is like this. And just when you think it couldn't be that bad, it gets worse. I recommend that. Those would be two books that I would say give them a whirl, because there's something there. You definitely, like, if you're looking for an entertaining read, Mike Rowe is definitely that book is fantastic. But if you're looking for something that is as thrilling as the thrillingest thriller book, where you're just constantly like going, what? Shut up. That is that I'm Glad My Mom Died book for sure.
Yeah, I've heard some stories about that. There was a documentary that came out on TLC or one of the other networks.
Yeah.
About the Nickelodeon stars who struggled and went through the dark times.
It was the Dark Side of the 90s or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Side.
Yeah, I watched that.
Yep.
It's wild. And we sat there yucking it up while they were doing their shows.
Yeah, I think it's like an hour and a half documentary. It was with commercial interruption, it was 2 hours. So I remember watching part 1 and part 2 of that. I think it was a 2-parter, and then there was also one called The Dark Side of the 90s with the Power Rangers cast. Some of the stuff that they had to go through.
Oh man,
some of their
poor
so yeah, and Jason
poor
David
Cranston
Frank,
though.
Yeah, Jason David.
Poor
Frank,
Billy.
too. Yeah,
poor Billy the Blue Ranger, man.
Yeah, or what was it? David Yost. David Yost is the actor name.
Yeah.
David
Yost.
The actors went through very dark periods of time, and we're very sorry to hear about that, by the way. But yeah, no, the fascinating documentaries, but also it's like, oh my gosh, there are certain people out there who do this kind of stuff. That is just messed up and bizarro.
Oh my God, yeah.
From here to there, and from A to Z, as one might say. But I get it. Good choices there when it comes to book recommendations and some of the authors you may want to check out and all that stuff. But we do want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much, Harry Carpenter. Thank you for being our guest on this week's episode of And I Quote. You are a gentleman, a scholar, and you know way too much for your own good. But if someone, I know, right? But if someone wants to know more about you and check out copies of your books, or maybe check out some of the events that you help put on every year, where can they follow you?
For author me, go to hcarpenterwriter.com. That should take you, there'll be links up in the top corner somewhere that take you to Facebook of the same name, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X that I never update because nobody does anymore. I have for Fright Read stuff, you go to frightreads.com. Frightreads.com will take you to both Halfway to Halloween and Fright Reads proper. You just go to the drop down for either one and read your heart's content, all of the great things. You can see every vendor and author listed for Halfway. We're starting to get to the announcement point for Fright Reads proper, so those pages will start to populate. But as of right now, we have the two bands that I had mentioned, Hip Hop McDougal and Beach Creeper. And the other major announcement would be Zach Ward, famously from A Christmas Story. He's my favorite, one of my top 3 bullies of all time.
Ooh, interesting. I did not know this. This is fascinating. Fascinating stuff to learn for sure. Well, thank you, sir, for being with us. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, Harry. Feel free to grab some drinks and some treats in our non-existent physical green room that we don't really have. But my name. Best with you, man. My name is Ryan of Anti Quote Channel. Follow me across all forms of social media at Anti Quote Channel. Links to where you can follow myself and Harry Carpenter are listed in the video description of this episode down below. Also, Harry, we took the liberty of posting the links to the pages and where you can buy your tickets for Halfway to Halloween and the Fright Reads Book Festival in the comments of this video. So they are there for people to look at, click on, treat yourself, get some tickets. Because you're going to like the way you look after going to either one of those 2 events or maybe even both. I guarantee it. Also, we're on the road to 5,000. Once we hit 5,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel known as Anti Quote Channel, we will have a live stream that will have special giveaways that you, the person who's listening or watching this program right now, are going to be eligible to win. Seasons are changes. We got hoodies. We do have shirts, long sleeve shirts, T-shirts. We have coffee mugs. We have stickers you can add to your water bottles or notebooks or even your laptops, folks. They do exist. And a Redbubble store, so the links are located in the description below in my link tree, or you can find them in our social media bios. If you want to check out my short story, it's called Wolf of the West, which is a straight-up Western story, and it is featured in the Western Tales Volume 1 anthology published by Veritas Entertainment. It is available in ebook, paperback, and hardcover. Links are in my link tree or in our social media bios. Once again, Anti Quote is on Saturdays, 12 o'clock Eastern time, unless otherwise specified, with special programming, special episodes. And also, movie watch-alongs are on Friday nights, 7 o'clock Eastern time. The next ones in the month of February are going to be Friday, February I want to say is it the 13th? Yeah, I can't believe I just said that, Harry. Friday the 13th. That doesn't sound creepy at all, does it? No. We're going to be celebrating 40 years of Highlander, because there can be only one, Harry. There can be only one. And then the week after that, we're going to be celebrating 30 years of the Disney animated feature film, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And to wrap up the month of February, we're going to be celebrating 55 years of Do I Feel Lucky? Well, do you, punk? Dirty Harry turns 55 this year, folks. So we're going to be doing a watch-along for that. Do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when the videos go up or they go live. Remember, life is better when supporting indie creators from all over the world. Take a look.
I've been a superhero for a long time. It used to be so simple. You catch the bad guys, do the right thing, save the world. Then I met Aiden, and things got complicated.
Iris recruited me as a kid and turned me into their own personal weapon. I couldn't see any way out until I met Marty. But now we're going to burn their entire organization down if we can.
Forces of Nature, books 1 and 2, Scorcher and Thin Ice are available now wherever books are sold online. See www.kellygentner.com.
don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.